too bad. You know, they couldn't be star navigators. They couldn't bend gravity with their DNA, and so they got demoted. And that's called Nephilim. So the skill to get charge into DNA is the trick. It's the real trick. It's the heart of the science. And the fun part here, remember where we measured the effect of human bliss on DNA. This is the important slide here we talked about this morning. In the presence of human coherent emotion, bliss experience, coherent EKG, measure the presence of the enzyme that causes DNA to break. So remember we said the DNA goes recursively braids, implodes, and sucks up its environment. And during bliss, you get fractal and you implode. Don't do it in metal buildings because you're sucking in poison. Bad news. Your body needs to get really big, and the only place it can do that is in a fractal. Stone circles, forests, natures where charge is fractal. Why galaxies are fractal. So the details of that process by which DNA absorbs charge is worthy of deep study, and I want to just offer a few clues here. Now we're starting with those clues. Here's one clue. Apparently, the angle at which the thymine, adenine, guanine, and cytosine nest, the codon, is tetrahedral. A little clue. So we have one clue. Apparently, the codons nest tetrahedrally. That's a clue. The codons are these things. There's three kinds of pairs of proteins which cross right here to make this ladder. Okay, this is one rung on the ladder of DNA. Hex, pent, golden ratio rectangle. In biophysics, you have three possible pairs: adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. So these are called codon pairs. And you see you have a pent, a hex, and then right here you have a hydrogen bond at the center of the ladder. What did you learn about hydrogen this morning? Highly fractal, golden ratio everywhere, beautiful black hole maker, hydrogen, cool. This is Pat Flanagan stuff, you know, monatomic hydrogen. So here's a hydrogen bond right here, golden rectangle shape. So right here is where the lightning goes down the zipper. Fun stuff. This is where the tornado makes a soul, right here. This is the buck stops here. So if we understand what's getting in and out of that tornado, if you can get in that tornado, you can be part of biologic memory. If you can't get in that tornado, it can't be absorbed in biology and cannot become part of memory. The index to the angles at which donuts can be swallowed there is the angles of the faces of donuts in a tetrahedron. Codons, right? So now let's look and see what angles the donut enters a tetrahedron. Because that will index, and what that's going to do is, here is DNA in a donut. Here is it's called the decadelta, but the fact is that these levers are controlling the angle of charge entry into DNA and therefore the angle of the braid. So if the donut of charge can be swallowed in DNA, then it can be remembered. Otherwise, it's not very memorable. And so to investigate that set of angles that will allow DNA to absorb charge, There'll be a slight delay while the kid gets his show together. No. Yes. So here's what the view looking down on the donut looks like. If I put 4 spirals there, that should look very familiar. A perfect Valentine, right? In physics, remember that's called phase conjugation. And here is one donut. If I get the ratio of the inside to the outside right to be physics, it self-organizes the golden spiral on that donut. I wrote the equation to mathematically topologically superimpose that flat 2-dimensional golden mean spiral on the 3-dimensional torus donut to make the following animations. There's the golden spiral self-organizing here. See the golden spiral? Now notice that there are 7, this is pretty, So there's 3 yellow and 4 red. You're seeing the 7 axes of spin of the tetrahedron at once. Notice that each of the 7 arrows passing through the donut touches a different color. Notice that every single one of the 7 colors defining the 7 arrows through the tetra touches every other color. So every single color touches every other color. Very touching. I call this the alphabet of the heart for reasons you're about to see, because the shadow of this sound phoneme in the heart structure is the harmonics of sound which fabricates the immune system in the thymus, which forms the cave wall around the heart. This is called the alphabet of the heart, the title of my first book. So now I'm looking at that spiral on that donut. This might begin to look a little familiar, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So we're beginning to index the travel of that donut to get the angle right to cause the charge as a plasma residue to be able to be soluble or absorbed. So here I've taken that golden spiral on that donut, Aleph, base. I'm just changing which arrow of the tetrahedron faces you. Aleph, base, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Pi, squares the circle, symbol for 5, Vav. So you see what Hebrew was. Hebrew was a software, not just for the quantum mechanics of indexing electric fields so that they could nest, called word-making power or web-making power, which is simply permission to touch. But the Hebrew alphabet also was a software environment for genetic engineering. It actually was a machine code for a hive mind central computer whose acronym was Ashtar, actually. And that computer, I think, was an Alpha Draconis. And the machine code of that computer, you could speak to it because if you said Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet properly, the computer would do a Fourier transform of the sound of your voice and the shape of your properly pronounced Hebrew letters